On November 17, 1986, Japan Airlines Flight 1628, a massive Boeing 747 cargo freighter, was navigating the lonely, sub-zero airspace over eastern Alaska. The aircraft was en route from Paris to Tokyo, carrying a highly valuable shipment of French wine. The flight path was routine, the night sky was crystal clear, and the veteran crew, led by Captain Kenju Terachi, expected a seamless crossing into Anchorage airspace. But at precisely 17:11 hours, as the freighter skirted the edges of restricted military zones, everything changed. Two unexplainable, massive physical structures radiating intense heat and light materialized out of the dark, locking into a precise geometric formation with the 747. Today, we break down the declassified federal logs, the military radar tapes, and the high-level cover-up of an aviation mystery that the United States government spent decades trying to erase. No series, no dynamic pacing changes. Listen to the data. For over 10 continuous minutes, the cockpit crew watched in absolute disbelief as the two anomalous crafts performed physical maneuvers that violated every known law of aerodynamics. Captain Terachi immediately contacted Anchorage Air Traffic Control, requesting confirmation of any military traffic in the immediate vicinity. The declassified transcripts capture the cold tension in the pilot's voice as he describes objects moving with instantaneous acceleration, stopping dead in midair, and emitting intense thermal energy that physically warmed the cockpit interior. Anchorage Control checked their regional civilian screens. On their secondary radar grids, which rely on automated aircraft transponders, the sky was completely empty. But the civilian controllers were unaware that the United States military was tracking something vastly different. This case introduces a critical technical anomaly known in military intelligence as the primary versus secondary radar paradox. Civilian air traffic control systems primarily utilize secondary radar, which requires a target aircraft to actively broadcast its identity via a transponder box. If a target chooses not to broadcast, it remains invisible on standard civilian screens. However, the Elmendorf Air Force Base Regional Operations Center utilized heavy military primary radar. This system transmits high-energy electromagnetic pulses that physically bounce off the metal skin of any solid object in the sky. When the military radar ran its diagnostics, it confirmed the pilot's worst nightmare. A massive, solid physical mass was indeed trailing the Japanese Boeing 747. It was registering a massive skin return signature, meaning it was a solid, non-porous structure reflecting thousands of radar watts back to the ground. As JL Flight 1628 began a desperate banking turn to escape the tracking objects, a third, even more massive structure emerged from the darkness. Captain Terachi looked out the cockpit glass and observed a colossal silhouette that he mathematically estimated to be at least 2 to 3 times larger than a standard commercial airliner. It was equal in scale to a floating military aircraft carrier. According to the declassified ground radar data, this massive phantom object mirrored every evasive turn the pilot made, maintaining a precise distance of exactly 7 miles behind the tail of the 747. In the physics of traditional aviation, an object of that volume requires massive jet propulsion, enormous wingspans, and thousands of gallons of continuous fuel displacement to maintain altitude. Yet, this object hovered, accelerated, and glided silently in the freezing upper atmosphere without producing a single trace of an exhaust plume or a thermal wake. The sheer volume of matching pilot testimony and military primary radar confirmation made the incident impossible to ignore inside the federal government. John Callahan, the chief of the Accident Evaluation and Security Division for the FAA, immediately secured all the raw master data reels, the voice communication tapes, and the computer printouts. He organized a high-level briefing for the president's scientific advisory staff and intelligence officers. But the moment the presentation concluded, the environment turned ice-cold. Federal agents stepped forward, ordered all attendees to consider the meeting non-existent, and confiscated every single scrap of duplicate data, every magnetic tape reel, and every paper log sheet. Callahan was explicitly ordered by his superiors never to speak of the incident again, under the guise of national security. The government was locking the data away forever. Beyond the visual sightings and the radar confirmation, the declassified files reveal a fascinating physical artifact recorded by the Boeing 747's own internal environmental management systems. When the anomalous crafts positioned themselves directly ahead of the cockpit windows, Captain Tarachi and his co-pilot reported that the interior cabin temperature rose dramatically within seconds. The external temperature sensors, operating in an environment of minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, registered an intense spike in localized ambient heat. This was not the standard heat generated by a traditional combustion engine. It was a pure, radiating thermal wave that accompanied the object's localized propulsion field. The aircraft's electrical systems began showing subtle voltage drops, indicating that the massive mass outside was generating an electromagnetic field intense enough to partially disrupt the shielded wiring of a commercial jumbo jet. Decades after the official blackout, independent aviation researchers and modern data forensic specialists utilized freedom of information requests to rebuild the flight path of JL-1628. By importing the surviving radar telemetry coordinates into modern airspace simulation software, researchers have uncovered a terrifying reality. The data confirms that the object behind the Boeing 747 executed movements that are physically impossible for any human aircraft. The primary skin returns show the carrier-sized object accelerating from a standstill to over 5,000 miles per hour in less than 2 seconds, shifting its altitude by thousands of feet instantly, and maintaining a perfect tracking vector behind the plane despite the immense G-forces that would have instantly torn a military fighter jet apart. The modern reconstruction proves that what Captain Tarachi witnessed was not a radar glitch or a weather anomaly. It was a highly advanced physical platform operating beyond the known limits of terrestrial engineering. The JL Flight 1628 incident remains the most heavily documented and verified military radar encounter in the history of modern aviation. It stands as a chilling monument to the hidden realities that drift through the high-altitude corridors of our world, realities that are tracked by military eyes, wiped from civilian records, and locked inside deep subterranean intelligence vaults. The data is clear. The witnesses are verified, but the sky remains silent. Thank you for watching this complete, unedited investigation. If you want more long-form documentaries that analyze the raw, declassified engineering mysteries of our history, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with Phantom below, and keep your eyes on the radar screens. Stay safe in the dark.